Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here, and it is Bank Holiday Monday, the 26th of May. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net, and you join me out here in the west of Wales, and it's not bad at all, is it? Today here, look, we've got some sunshine, we've got the cumulus clouds you can see above here, although I know that it's not been like that for many of you. Now, before we get on to the forecast, just a quick run through. I thought it was quite interesting just to look at comparisons with sea surface temperatures with last year and with this year. So that was 23rd of May last year in 2013, and notice, look how cold the water is here around the UK and western parts of Europe following the cold winter that we had through 2012 and into 2013, and then compare that with this year. Look at that, complete reversal this year. Just look how warm temperatures are above normal across most of the UK to the northwest, particularly south of Iceland here, and also notice as well how warm it is extending down into the North Atlantic there. Such a contrast between the two. Look, there's 2013 and there's 2014, so big changes, look, between those two sea temperature profiles. And just notice how, look, that area of colder anomalies here off the eastern coast of the States drifts northeastwards this year to be in that sort of position off the east of Newfoundland. Quite a big difference between those two. So be interesting to see what sort of impact that has on our weather, and already these warm waters around the British Isles are having an impact, because with cooler air coming in aloft, with that colder air coming in at upper levels in the form of troughs, etc., if we'd got the cooler waters that we had this time last year with those troughs coming over, so if we were in that position, what would happen is the lapse rates between the surface and the upper levels wouldn't be as much, and so what would happen is that we would see less in the way of showers and rain. But because we've got that situation this year, where we've got warmer air, warmer surface water and cooler air coming in aloft, it's that's helping, or at least aiding, the triggering of heavy showers and heavy bursts of rain. Bit more climate stuff as well for you. This is the sea surface temperature above the oceans detected by satellites going back to 1979, look, right the way through to April this year. And what's interesting here is, look, there's always variability. It's the blue solid line that we're interested in here. Look, there's always some variability, but then notice how it started to rise, look, through the 1990s. But what we've actually seen in the mean here is a slight drop-off in total sea surface temperatures according to satellites since around 2002 in here. So we've actually seen this kind of steadying of the global sea surface temperature. Remember, that is just surface temperature measured from satellites. So that's always quite interesting to look at. Also, the Arctic Sea extent, let's just bring ourselves up to speed on where we are with those. This is the Arctic on the left, we've got the Antarctic on the right. You notice here, look, the Arctic is running at the moment pretty close to its extreme minimums since 1981. And the Antarctic, conversely, is running pretty well at its maximum level, look, or very close to its maximum levels since that 1981 average. So we've got this flip taking place where we've got less in the north and we've got more in the southern hemisphere. But of course, what that doesn't do is it doesn't measure ice thickness. So although the extent is greater, we don't know exactly what the thickness is. You can probably hear the weather wolf in the background there. He gets excited at the mere mention of ice. Anyway, so you see there, it's not measuring ice thickness, so of course we don't know what's going on below, and the recent papers have come out suggesting that there is some warming below the ice, which is thinning the actual ice sheet. Okay, sunspot numbers looking like this at the moment, and we are currently into the cycle here, and notice that we're in a particularly low numbered cycle, although at the maximum of the cycle, just look how low it is, comparable with the cycle in the late 1920s. So we've got a comparison between those two cycles in there. It's always just interesting just to glance through this stuff and think, well, I wonder how that can have an impact on what we're experiencing at the moment. But talking of the present time, let's take a look at that and just show you how things develop over the coming days, because it's quite interesting what's going on now. This is the GFS model. I'm taking it from the weatheronline.co.uk site, so you get this from the expert charts section of the site. And what we've got on here is this is today, so we've got low pressure there over Central Europe, we've got higher pressure, look, up towards the north of the UK in here, and we've also got high pressure as well centred down here to the south of the Azores. So we've got high pressure in, oh, excuse my fat fingers in here, look, so we've got high pressure in here as well. So what's interesting though is how things develop as I run through the sequence here, because watch the rainfall amounts across the UK, look. So through this evening, through tonight and into tomorrow, look, there's that rainfall running into eastern parts of England, and that rain kind of hangs around through tomorrow, comes westwards as we go through the late tomorrow part into Wednesday, and then just sort of hangs around for a while across northern Wales and the Midlands. But we get this second area of rain, look, moving into northeast England, possibly into the southeastern parts of Scotland through Wednesday. Now, much uncertainty over exactly where this rain band is, but it looks like it's that area here that's under threat from 10 to 20 millimetres of rain in the next 48 hours. And it may well be that through the Lincolnshire, sort of South Yorkshire area here, that we could see 40 millimetres of rain. But that needs to be watched, because these models are varying with run to run, and the difficulty they're having basically is resolving what happens to these systems as they come across the North Sea. In fact, I'm just going to go back a couple of steps on there and just show you. Look, this is cooler air at upper levels coming across the North Sea, which, as I've just shown you, is very mild. And look what happens. It just invigorates itself as it comes across that warmer ocean water, destabilises, and means that we can really get these systems going. Okay, so into Thursday, still got rain, look, affecting these eastern coasts of England, coming down through southeast Scotland as well. So we've still got rain in there, but notice out towards the west, look, much dry conditions, but a slack airflow. Really giving us very little clues as to how things then move on after that. But indications are that through Thursday we get some heavy showers developing inland across England and Wales, but you'll notice the high still north, the high still south, and then through Friday we go into more of a north and northeasterly flow, and what that does is bring the potential for dry weather across much of the country. Then into Saturday, the high is still hanging around, so another dry day for many on Saturday. Yes, a few showers over high ground, and the reason for these showers, and this is what's so frustrating at the moment when trying to produce a forecast, is using the word dry. You know, it implies, doesn't it, everywhere is dry. But with cool air aloft and with these residual troughs being left around up aloft, that means that these showers can just get going all the time. So even though we've got high pressure hanging around on Saturday, it still shows the sign of some showers trying to break out. Then into Sunday, ridge of high pressure still in. So eastern areas tend to stay dry through Sunday. But you see here, this low, look, that develops up towards the northwest of Scotland, this drives fronts eastwards, bringing cloud, bringing outbreaks of rain with it. And if we just go back a couple of steps to look at the evolution of that low, here it is, look, coming in across the Atlantic. As I run it through, there it is deepening, swinging around its parent low to the west of Iceland, and then through Sunday and Monday pushes rain eastwards. Now, I think what's going to happen then is that the trough that's in the west of the UK here, there's a trough at upper levels here. What then happens is that that feature then effectively tries to pull its way eastwards, but gets subsumed by warmer air, by a ridge trying to get going, trying to build in from here, from off the Atlantic, during the middle part of next week. And what that then does is it sets us back up into the position that we've got now, where pressure is relatively high, but we've still got showers hanging around right the way through the middle to the end of next week. And yes, we get ridges trying to get in from off the Atlantic, but this play that the GFS is making here, look, for this northeasterly flow across the south of the country, I think is something that we really can't ignore, because although I don't think that's exactly the pressure pattern we're going to see, I think what the GFS is saying is, look, there could be this westerly oh, sorry, I've done it again. There could be this westerly coming up through the west of Scotland, but there's always going to be this return northeasterly down across the south and east of the country. And what that does is it means that if you're in southern or eastern parts, that's where we've got to be focused to look for any drier weather for perhaps a 2 or 3 day spell, because I know some of you now, particularly those who are farming, are getting quite desperate about that. But towards the north and the west, always this potential for some dry weather coming in, apart from that rain affecting western Scotland and the west of Ireland. So there are some signs there of reasonable conditions setting in during the middle part of next week, and that's something that I'm going to be keeping a watch on over the next few days. Be interesting to see what the CFS output's like from today a little bit later on, and also we've got the ECMWF long ranges due as well, out to 32 days ahead. So as soon as they're online, I'll let you know what they say via Twitter. You can follow us at WXWeb, and I'll try and include some of the information about those in tomorrow's forecast. But for now, whatever you're doing, thanks again for watching weatherweb.net, and keep the sun shining. Have a great bank holiday afternoon. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.